For a very long time, I have waited the coming of the next Arca Plasmor. It could have been a Vandal version from battle at any point, but instead we got one from the Sisters of Parvos update in the form of the Tenent Arca Plasmor. So the only question left, was it worth the wait or not? Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 16 primary weapon, the Tenent Arca Plasmor. We're gonna have a cheap build, something affordable that most Tenent will be able to build with strictly normal, average, everyday mods, but then we're gonna amp it all up with a Riven, with Prime mods, Galvanized mods, Arcanes, and to top it all off, of course, Warframe buffs, just to see how far we can take this weapon. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of the stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Tenent Arca Plasmor. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Tenent Arca Plasmor is a ranged primary weapon with a projectile based attack and a limited range of 41-42 meters. Now if you hop on over to the wiki, you will see they say it's 36 meters, but in all actuality, allow me to show you 41, that should be good enough. As you can see, I'm still able to hit my targets. That said, range drop off or damage drop off begins at 18 meters, something like this. This is the range you're going to be getting the full amount of damage without any additional mods. This will be changed by projectile flight speed mods, which will be increasing the fall off as well as the total range of the weapon. This projectile is pretty special because it's a thick boy, 3 meters wide, so it's very easy to hit multiple targets. But not only that, the Arca Plasmor is a specialist when it comes to easy area of effect damage. It also has 3 meters worth of body punch through. That means it's gonna go easily for multiple targets, but unfortunately it cannot go through surfaces. Normally when you take your Plasmor and you hit a wall or the ground, the projectile dissipates and doesn't deal any damage. With the Tenent version, however, this one bounces off of surfaces, so you can pull off trick shots like that. Or you can hit the ground right in front of your enemies and get a cool bouncing effect. But what about headshots? Should we not go for headshots? Well, yes and no. Unfortunately, the base version of the Arca Plasmor was nerfed back in 2019, I believe. It had its headshot multiplier completely removed. And the Tenent suffers the same fate. There's no headshot multiplier I fully tested, at least not for now, that is. You're still not spared in not going for headshots, however, because there are multiple arcanes and other mods that rely on you getting a headshot. On the plus side, it's very easy to get a headshot with this weapon due to the projectile's thickness and all whatnot. In actual gameplay, there are two major disadvantages, however. First of all, this is the maximum rate of fire. Definitely not fantastic, and this is the reload speed. So it is a bit on the cumbersome side, but as long as you are firing with this weapon, you should be able to clear house without any issue whatsoever. Next, I want to show you guys the impact proc of the Arca Plasmor, the Tenent Arca Plasmor. It has guaranteed impact proc up until 29 meters. Now unfortunately, this doesn't really do all that much for us. It's just a little bit of crowd control, but we don't have a hemorrhage version for shotguns. We only got for primaries and secondary weapons. Now let's have a stat comparison between the Tenent and the regular version, just so we can see how much of a buff we got. First of all, the accuracy remained the same, 9.1. This is not a concern, especially considering that the Tenent has bouncy projectiles and it's gonna work a treat in tight corridors. Critical chance, unfortunately, remained the same at only 22%. Critical multiplier has been amped up to a decent level at 2.0x. It was a meager 1.6. As you can see, fall off has also been increased to 18, 36 meters, up from 10 to 20. Fire rate, in a very interesting choice by the developer, was nerfed by 10%, so it's down to 1. Also, reload has been increased. Any Plasmor player will tell you probably the worst part of the Arca is that reload speed. It's puzzling to me that they chose to actually increase the worst part of the weapon, but there you go. Status chance also got an increase, 6% up to 34. Let's talk damage. By default, the weapon does deal radiation damage, 760 instead of 600, but this is only half the problem, because the buff is actually a whole lot greater than this. Over this 760 that you see here, you're gonna be getting yourself your bonus damage from your progenitor. My Arca Plasmor Tenent version has a 50% roll, 49.2 hit. So that 49.2 is not incorporated in this radiation damage. In order to see it, here it is. You get an additional 373, and the maximum roll you can get to is 60%. Of course, it can be upgraded by going into actions and doing valence fusion. Now, I promised myself I would save one additional plasmor to show you how the valence fusion is very simple. Anybody can do it, but unfortunately, I fused 3 to get to about 50%. And that's pretty much it. Again, the damage increase is in all actuality more than double. While the base Arca Plasmor does 600, you can easily get to over 1200 damage on the projectile with the Tenent version, even though the rest of the buffs are a little bit on the iffy side. Should you unlock the weapon excellence slot on the Arca Plasmor, the Tenent version? 100%, my friends, because you can use projectile flight speed with fatal acceleration. This will increase the speed by 40%, which means better fall off as well and better range, up to 50 meters on this one. And we also got a brand new galvanized mod called Galvanized Acceleration. Now this one only offers 30%, but on kill you get an additional 30, which is absolutely sensational. So definitely unlock this one. What about the arcane slot? Is this one worth unlocking, yes or no? Well, yes, of course. It's basically additional power, so why wouldn't you? For a whole lot of primary weapons and for players that like to play with the ranged weapons alone, primary deadhead is gonna be the way to go. This one will offer you on precision headshot kill. This is very important to read out loud. 120% damage for 24 seconds stacks up 3 times, and 30% bonus to headshot multiplier, and minus 50% weapon recoil. Unfortunately, in our case, we don't get the benefit of that 30% headshot multiplier since the weapon has 0. Now, if you also use melees in your arsenal, then might I suggest you go for Dexterity R5. This one will get you the same amount of damage, but in 6 stacks, but you also get 7.5 seconds combo duration and 60% holster speed. Normally, again, this is the best one. This is one we're going to be using today. It's the only one I have at R5. It really depends on you and how is your playstyle. That said, my weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times. Jump into actions and plug in the Auto King Catalyst to double your mod capacity. This being a sister weapon, you need to format 5 times to get it to the maximum rank of 40. And in order to subtract all the mastery points you can out of the weapon. It doesn't need to be format 5 times for the build, no, but if you want all the mastery points, there you go. Speaking of a build, let's have a look at a standard one. Standard builds will include normal, average, everyday mods, and then we're gonna amp up everything with prime mods, ribbons, galvanized mods, basically the works. But this is something that a newer Tenno can easily get his hands on. Hopefully, that is. Point blank for damage, multi-shot with health chamber, critical chance, critical damage with shrapnel shot, and critical deceleration. Hey, what gives? Critical deceleration just received a buff. Let me show you crit mods for shotguns. Have a look. Blunderbuss, 90%. What a joke. What a joke. They still refuse to give us prime blunderbuss. Why? I don't understand. It's not like ranged weapons can compete with melee, but there you go. We have the option of blunderbuss with 90% flat. You have the option of laser sight with 120%, but this one on headshot only when aiming for 9 seconds, or the one that I'm gonna be recommending on a lot of builds from now on, critical deceleration. 200% is huge. It's all the time, and it does attack your fire rate, which is one of the weak points of the Arca Plasmor, but we can make up for that one. Again, do go for critical deceleration. Shrapnel shot is not the regular critical damage mod. Ravage is. 60%, unfortunately, again, is a bit on the low side. Have a look at Prime Ravage, 110. So I choose to go for Shrapnel Shot. It's an on-kill effect, which is definitely not ideal, especially if you're dealing with super high level, but it's 100 when aiming for 9 seconds instead of the usual 60%. One last thing that I do want to mention, Blunderbuss and Ravage will be a whole lot more reliable and less gimmicky than something like Shrapnel Shot or Laser Sight. What follows next is the sad story of primary weapons right now, Hunter Mumu. You want the best build, you want the one that gives you the most damage, you got a Mumu. It's as simple as that, my friends. And this is coming from a corrosive lover, in the sense that I still love corrosive more than this, but what can you do? The 260-60 mods will be easily obtained. This one from Corrupted Void in the Void, and the second one, Frigid Blast, from Spy Missions. They're not expensive from the trade chat either. And of course, in the Weapon Excellence slot, we're gonna go with Fatal Acceleration, and in the max build, we're gonna switch it up to the Galvanized versions. Galvanized mods are not exactly easily accessible by new players, considering what you need to do to get them. Of course, you can also buy them. That's also an option. I left one mod slot opened. This one is what I say is an option slot, even though there are so many good options for this one. So let's explore a little bit. First of all, this is a Hunter Munitions build. Yes, well, more crit because I'm only at 66%. An easy option is Laser Sight, but let's say you're more of a traditionalist and you want a bit more multi-shot. Vigilante Armaments is never a bad idea, ever, except on the Secura Duel Penta. Secura Penta, but that's a story for another time. Motus setup, dude, this mod is insane. 100% critical and status chance, but only for 4 seconds after landing from a double or a bullet jump. The landing after double jump or bullet jump doesn't matter, we do that a whole lot in Warframe, but 4 seconds, really, this needs something like 12, so that's another strong option. You know how many good mods shotguns have? Let's talk damage. When you're talking about damage, Blaze is amazing. 60% damage and 60% heat, especially if you're going Eidolon hunting. And by the way, my friends, the Arca Plasmor Tenant version is an excellent, absolutely excellent Eidolon hunting weapon. With the additional range, with the additional damage, go for it. Just forget about status, go critical chance and radiation, and you should be all good. Again, there are a lot of fantastic options when it comes to this one. For example, let's say you want to fix some of the usability issues that the weapons has. Reload. If you want a fantastic reload mod, look no further than Chilling Reload. 60% cold and 40% reload speed. This will make the weapon a whole lot more usable and, quite frankly, a little bit less annoying to use. So again, in this one, just simply slap on whatever you feel will make your experience a bit better. One last thing, I gotta mention this mod. I'm sorry, I gotta mention it. It's a fantastic mod for this weapon in specific. I didn't recommend Vicious Spread for the normal Plasmor, but I'm forced on the Tenant simply because if you're fighting in tight corridors and these things, the projectiles go all over the place, it's actually not a bad thing because they're gonna ricochet forward normally and deal a whole lot of damage to the enemies. Besides, it can be jolly good fun to see, so do bear that one in mind. Now, my friends, we're going to be testing this build on level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons, and then we're going to switch to some more powerful mods. I'm going to go with Laser Sight so I can go get the most amount of slashes through Hunter Munitions. And I still have Vital on my weapon thanks to the Toxic Barrage and Frigid Blast. Let's see how she performs. By the way, Yareli has no buffs that will skew our test results. We're going to use the same targets as we always do. The performance of the weapon, of course, will be better than the regular version, but it's still not something you can write home about. I'm gonna get a kill so I can get the critical damage off a shrapnel shot. Straight for headshots as per usual so I can get myself the buff from Laser Sight, that extra yummy critical chance. Now, my friends, I got my full buffs and I'm gonna make use of the Arca Plasmor's trademark area of effect capability. Take a look at that. Beautiful, absolutely fantastic, man. I got slashes, I got vital, I'm completely annihilating these high level targets. And the Arca Plasmor is capable of shredding them up until level, I want to say 150-ish. It really depends on what you're fighting. Of course, Corpus will be a whole lot more squishy, just like Infested. I want to say this is decent performance for the Tenant, because at the end of the day, this is a regular build with regular normal mods. But we can do a whole lot better than that, now can't we? We introduced Prime mods, we introduced Galvanized mods, and the Arcane as well. Now, my friends, you can switch if you want to a few variations on this one. You can even go full corrosive, but the performance will be roughly the same, give or take something that's not gonna be all that noticeable in gameplay. A maxed out build for an Tenent Arca Plasmor will look something like this. Of course, Prime Point Blank, Prime Ravage, Galvanized Hell instead of the normal version, Hell's Chamber. You get 10% less as a base, but on kill 30%, stacking up 4 times, which is absolutely huge. And I also have a Riven. Now this one, critical chance, toxic and cold. It's fantastic because it provides vital in a single mod, but keep in mind that the Riven disposition of the weapon is only 1 out of 5. It's not worth getting a Riven for this weapon at the current time, but it is usable. Something like this, you get a bit of extra critical chance and you get vital in a single mod, making room for more powerful mods. Hunter munitions because it has to be here. Critical deceleration as before. Shotgun galvanized savvy. Take a look at this one. One of the brand new galvanized mods. 80% status chance and on kill, plus 40% damage per status type, affecting the target lasts 20 seconds, stacks up 2 times. So another 80% damage. Fantastic, isn't it? It should be, but it's not. The reason it's not working. At the current time, unfortunately, the on-kill effect does not provide the additional damage it's supposed to. It's a bug, this is still early content. I'm still gonna showcase the build like so, just know that it's lacking like 80% extra damage from this mod. I went with fire rate on the weapon, amalgam shotgun spaz. You can go for the normal version that provides 90%, but I believe that 5% fire rate to get 45% revive speed is definitely something worth it when you're farming a sister or two. This is an option slot again. It has 2 issues, either the fire rate or the reload speed. I can only fix one, and I chose to fix the fire rate, but because in actual gameplay that super slow fire rate that the weapon has, especially with critical deceleration on, is simply annoying. And of course we switched to galvanized acceleration together with primary deadhead. This should be kind of like it. Again, we're missing that bonus from this one, but what can you do? Bugs will be bugs, and this is Warframe after all. Level 120 corrupted heavy goons. Now we're gonna have to get the buffs going because the galvanized mods and the arcane, the everything, they need kills to actually get going, and that's not a problem in normal level content. It's only gonna be a problem when you're fighting level 1000 something, this and that. Take a look. The difference is freaking ginormous. Technical term, ginormous. That was a single shot, and of course I one-shotted that guy. Actually, these are girls, so do bear that one in mind. It's gonna come down to what kind of procs you're gonna be getting, but do try to get the headshots, my friends. You gotta go for headshots. Take a look at that. Beautiful. Man, it just got deleted by that slash proc. The value of the slash procs can get to crazy high levels. A single shot on that target, 40,000 slash. Easy mode. Gameplay every single day. So yes, my friends. The mods do make quite the difference, and it's gonna be fantastic again in what I like to call normal level content, up until level 200, let's say. But if you're fighting in the thousands, you might have a problem keeping up those on-kill effects. So do bear that one in mind. Let's bump up everything with Warframe buffs, and for that we're gonna be using 2 frames because I love this weapon, because I have an unreasonable attachment to it. We're gonna go first with Mirage and then with Lord Harrow, because Harrow fixes both of the weapon's usability issues in one fell swoop. When it comes to Warframe buffs, nothing really much has changed. Corrosive Projection is the way to go against heavily armored targets, and when it comes to Arcanes, Arcane Avenger still one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, Warframe offensive arcane you can get for your weapons. On damage, a 21% chance for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds, bonus additive after, simply stacking on top of what you already have. As for a raw damage arcane, well, this one isn't gonna do us much good because it's for secondary weapons, but the primary version is called Arcane Rage. Both of these can be farmed from the third Eidolon down on Cetus, and once again, the Arca Plasmor Tenant version is a fantastic weapon to go Eidolon hunting, just like a whole lot of weapons are nowadays. This one will provide you with 100% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. It's an on-headshot 15% chance, and we're gonna test the weapon like so. It is worth mentioning that Lady Mirage Prime does have that gift of making any weapon seem extremely powerful, but this is already a very competitive weapon. And don't worry about the Riven, it doesn't make that huge of a difference. You can work around it. Simply use the standard version of the build and replace everything in it with Prime mods and Galvanized mods if you have those versions. Now, we had a nerf regarding Sentinel's weapons, but thankfully the carrier trick, or better said the Vigilante mods trick, still work a treat today. So, Vigilante offense, supplies, fervor, and armaments will get you that 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons, even if your little Sentinel dies and never comes back to life. I have tested it, yes, it still does function the way it's supposed to. And with that said, time for higher level enemies. I wish they could let us spawn whatever level we want in the simulacrum. It would be easier to actually test to see if these weapons can cut it in a high level steel path survivals like 4 or 5 hours in or something like that, instead of staying 4 or 5 hours in a mission to get to level 2000, 3000 and so on and so forth. Empower, her third ability for an absolutely massive damage increase, and one more time my friends, Empower and her ever so lovely clones. Do I need one shot or more? Don't be silly, of course you just need one shot. This is Mirage with the Tenent Plasmor, absolute beautiful carnage destroy. You're never gonna get to see that slash. Look at that, 120,000. How can you see that slash when you get obliterated by a single shot? And this being the Plasmor, it vaporizes enemies for some extra awesome feeling. I love the fact that you just like clear house, there's nothing left after you're done. Look at that. This one didn't die, it did die! Damn it, I thought I didn't get it in a single shot. As you can see, the weapon's performance can get to crazy high levels, especially considering that with Mirage it's gonna be very easy to roll from kill to kill to kill, so I can keep those blasted mods up. Look at that, look at the values. Beautiful, man. Absolutely freaking sensational. I love the Arca Plasmor. I always... Is it a weapon that can fit all playstyles? Definitely not. But it's a fantastic weapon that can clear house up until level 150, maybe 200-ish. If you're looking for something more than that, then might I suggest a melee weapon. And before I go, one last thing that I do want to do, bring out Lord Harrow, because I want to see those beautiful, beautiful red grids. Not only that, Harrow manages to fix both of the weapons issue, the reload speed and the fire rate as well. You can also play around with arcanes, but I'd rather have the power arcanes if I'm going full weapon damage. Presenting Lord Harrow, an absolutely outstanding Warframe that is not appreciated enough. This time we're gonna go with our Necromancer look. How's that? You guys like that? I hope you do. And we're gonna be spawning in the same targets as before, but because Harrow does fix certain issues, I can get even more out of the Plasmor. Think about it. Harrow gives me critical chance, yes? Well, if Harrow gives me critical chance, I don't really need critical deceleration anymore. Instead, what I can do is pile on even more critical damage. Do I need shotgun spaz? Not really, I'm gonna probably mon-shot everything, so let's increase those stats. Critical damage, always good, and we're gonna go with shrapnel shot, just like we went in the initial build. As for the last mod on the build, you can just go for more raw damage and you can get to some crazy high numbers. We can go with Vicious Spread and have everything spread out, or you can go with Blaze. At this point it doesn't matter anymore, let's spread them out. One more time, same targets as before. This time we're gonna have to activate Harrow's fourth ability, Covenant. During this time you will be invulnerable, and depending on how much damage you took now, you're gonna be getting yourself a nice critical buff. Not only you. Keep in mind that you're gonna get 200% for headshots and only 50% for body shots. His second ability grants fire rate as well as reload speed, which is basically perfect for the Plasmor. And fire. Take a look at that. Absolutely freaking sensational, man. Harrow, what an amazing frame. One that I highly, highly recommend. Especially if you enjoy pretty numbers on your screen. And my friends, I do believe that's pretty much it for the Arca Plasmor review. And no, of course not, Lord Harrow is not as powerful as Lady Mirage. That is, by all intents and purposes, expected. The Tenent Arca Plasmor is an amazing weapon. I love it. I recommend it to just about everybody, simply because it's such an easy weapon to use. It can clear house, it can make you feel powerful, and it has that special, spacey, futuristic Warframe flavor that a whole lot of weapons simply lack. Is the Arca Plasmor the best weapon in Warframe? Definitely not. Is the Arca Plasmor suited for 4 or 5 hour survivals in Steel Path? Definitely not. You got melee for that. And with that, I'm gonna call it a day. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, by all means, my friends, drop it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, let me know what kind of weapon reviews would you like to see next. And if you love the content, do consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.